It is a psychological. It's considered to be a. I think in the DSM, it's considered to be a fucking, fucking like a psychological disorder. I'm fairly sure. I'd have to Google it. I don't want to, offend anybody, but like, so like coming up around these people, I'd be like, man, you look down at your crotch one day and there's a calculator down there. That's what I used to say to them. You look down at your crotch one day and there's a calculator down there, nerd. And that's what I used to say to them. That was literally the cliche I used to use to them. You look down at your crotch one day and there's nothing left but a calculator. That was the joke I used to use with anal retentive nerds. you know and like and they think that I'm a loser because I'm not like them. Fucking yeah. But I think shuffling your stuff around all day and boxing it all away and labeling it and keeping it all organized and buying more stuff and filling your fucking house with more shit every day, to me it's like a psychological disorder. And so now I've got to say this. My parents will eventually pass, and thank God. I think we've got probably another, I don't know what, at least 2 to 5, if not 20 years to go, you know? And, knock on wood. I think my mom's going to live for a while. I hope. I don't know. So, and, but when she goes, I'm going to be expected to deal with an entire lifetime of stuff that she shuffled around. And I never wanted to do it when I was a kid. And I don't want to do it now, 40 years later. And I love her to death. And I don't wish to besmirch her God-given right or whatever the fuck you want to call it to just hoard stuff her whole life. I mean, she's not a hoarder. She just was a possession person. She has a lot of possessions. She's not a hoarder. She's an OCD person who cleans her house every day. But she has a lot of possessions, a lot of books, a lot of stuff, just a lot of jewelry, a lot of just stuff. Not expensive jewelry, just jewelry, and and all that stuff. And I can see that she's got this issue that I don't value any of it. But in my experience, the things you own you. And I think a lot of the part of why she was so unhappy is I think she spends all of her money on stuff that she bought her whole life. She spent all of her money on this. God damn it, I'm just going to take the buy order then. That's stupid. And so they look down on me. They're like, you're a fat, slovenly person with no organization, and you're all over the place, and you would be late if you thought it mattered. I'm not known for being late, but I'm just, but I don't care if I am, and like, and I'm all over the place, and they know it. And it's always fundamentally bothered her, and we're very, very, very separate people in that respect. And she knows that like she wanted me to just shuffle her stuff with her for the rest of her life, I think. That's mean of me to say it like that, but I mean that's kind of how it was. She expected me to just shuffle the stuff with her for the rest of my life since I passed the age of, I would say past the age of 12 or so. She just expected me to shuffle her stuff around my whole life. And I think when the possessions have gotten to the point where they take up your time, I think you've lost. I think the possession owns you. I really feel this way. And I kept all of my possessions digitally. I didn't fuck around a lot with like, buying a lot of stuff over my lifetime. I bought some stuff, but not a lot of stuff. No. And I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm just saying, like, I don't know, our personalities were very different. See, I can hear like shades of a very, very, very repressed OCD nerd in this guy's voice and the way that he does things and the methods that he deals with the world and all this. And I think of them as little wormy brains. They're always wormy brain. They're thinking about what you're saying. They're searching for some kind of insult in it. They're looking for some kind of like way to prove their worth to everybody, and they think that like, oh, my skills are so good at this or whatever, and they're always bragging about how they're learning something or another, and that's good. But I mean, it's also like, you know, the personality is still, it's a little bit of a meme. It's a little bit of a meme. I mean, Dwight from The Office was a perfect rendition of it. They're totally fucking like, Dwight was totally blissfully full blown fucking just never did get a clue, unaware. He was blissfully unaware of who he was. I thought Rainn Wilson's execution of Dwight was fucking perfect, because you could see elements of Dwight personality was probably in, you know, Rainn Wilson's personality, I would imagine. And they let him play himself a bit, but they also forced him to be very like Dilbert nerdy, and he was very methodical and very, you know, steps based, and all this, and everything's a dick measuring contest, and he's always vying to be the assistant to the regional manager or something. He's always trying to like climbs they're always trying to climb some fucking rat race, you know. They're always trying to like descend, they're always trying to climb the totem pole. They seem to value the totem pole a lot. My mother valued the totem pole, I think, a lot. And I don't like how a lot of the ways that they live their lives. And you'd be surprised. Like, it's funny. All of my life, I received judgment from them. All of them. Like, these guys abandon their wrecks. They don't care. I mean, shit, yeah, I'll take all of them if you guys don't value them. You guys don't value that? Shit, I'm gonna run the mobile tractor then. Absolutely. I'll take all that motherfucking loot if you don't care about it. Yeah. Uh, Wait, maybe I'm stealing the loot. Am I stealing the loot? I might be stealing the loot. I'll watch it and no, I'm just gonna pull this. It's fine. No, I don't want to suck and loot around. It's fine. I don't know if that's like copacetic. I'll see if these guys like collect this loot or not. Compression is on, guys. Thank you. Thanks. Big Shaves from 9 o'clock E time. Okay. I don't know if I'll be on, but yep. Thanks. Yeah. Did you compress? Oh yeah, compressed. Yeah. And then put two. Let's compress. Yeah, we get some moon ore. Okay.
Training gear without them noticing to get my lockpicking skill up, where I
see,
can
it's all steps. It's to get my lock. They're always step based. To get my locksmithing up, and you know, and that's cool.
the boy out of jail and continue on our adventure. Walking up to the 3rd floor of their tower, I spent the next few hours training my lockpicking ability and dodging ninjas, because if they see me, they will probably kill me, and I don't want to do that. By about 10 o'clock, my skill was high enough to do some damage back at the jail, so I stole some random goods from a poor guy's house, sold them to the bar, and continued back to Squin. In the lock was no...
From a poor guy's house, you know, it's weird the way they talk. It's you can tell it's idiosyncratic, because they are on the spectrum like me. They're Asperger's. And they're idiosyncratic in the way that they speak, and some of them are probably really aware of it. I know I am. I'm really aware of my idiosyncratic speech and all this. But I mean, I know that, you know, like, I know that I couldn't ever be this uptight. It's like, to me, and I'm gonna make a metaphor here that would probably make most nerds uncomfortable. And I'm sorry, but this is a terrible metaphor, and I just came up with it as I'm thinking about this. But this is the metaphor I think about when it comes to Mr. or Mrs. or whatever the case may be. You know, we all love them. Are really OCD nerds, right? It's like they took a corkscrew and took it to the bottle and started screwing down till the cork is so compacted in the bottle that the pressure from the cork pops the bottle. And that is I think the end result. They're like I would say, crisis is something that these people experience a lot because they don't see bad stuff coming. I mean, they do. They try to. They're very prepared people, but they don't see swings like broken hearts and stuff like that coming or any of that. They're always taken surprised by social, stuff, and or like getting fired or something like that, and they're like crippled emotionally, so they can't deal with it well. And and then and I hate to say it, but they just tighten down on that corkscrew. So not only is the cork basically like a flat piece of rubber because it's been so compacted that it's just struck down to the bottom of the bottle. At that point, they keep turning that fucking corkscrew tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter on that control that they want on their life. That they flatten the corkscrew and pop the bottle, and that's the metaphor. You can hear it in this kid's voice, hella deep. And I'm sorry, not hella deep, but hella strong. You can it's hella strong in him. You can hear it in his voice. He's ready to pop. He's been tightened down on that fucking corkscrew his entire fucking life.
To lockpicking. These people really need better security. I thought it would be a bright idea to try to throw Vagabond off the roof where he didn't get detected, but I guess the guards just don't care, so I didn't even need to do that, and it probably just hurt more than anything. However, I saw that Vagabond now had a bounty of 1,000 cats for breaking out of jail, so guess what I did? You know it. I once again pretended like I didn't know him, picked him up and returned him to the prison he just escaped from, and got paid. Now that is an infinite money glitch. Then I broke him back out of jail and thought of a plan.
Why do you guys... Okay, you have 452,000 subscribers, and you do a Kenshi video, and inside of the first 5 fucking minutes of it, you're a Kenshi fucking tourist, you piece of shit. I'm sorry, but you are. You're a Kenshi tourist. I'm sorry, you're not a Kenshi tourist, but you're like a Kenshi tourist streamer. You're not a Kenshi streamer, you know? You are touring Kenshi. And inside of the first fucking 5 minutes, you expose an infinite gold glitch, which is just frankly goddamn fucking irresponsible. It's black hat irresponsible. Don't teach the kids how to break the game like that. It's just like let them find it out on the Google or something. Don't be directly putting it on your fucking video. Like for several reasons. But the one that irks me the most is it makes me think that that's how you get your hits. Is you're basically like a spoiler person, you know? Like you provide exploits to people. It's just a bad fucking look.
This guy was already wanted, but I still wasn't associated with him, so I would use this to my advantage. And the way I will do it will blow your mind.
No, it won't.
And if you like having your mind blown, then you're gonna love the sponsor of today's video, Enlisted. What is Enlisted? Well, my friend, it's a crazy kind of first-person shooter that has never been seen before, with a unique combination of PvP and PvE combat. In this game, you take command of a squad of customizable AI soldiers and fight in massive battles with hundreds of targets led by other players. This game has a ton of campaigns, which are so varied that they feel more like individual games. From the outskirts of Moscow in 1941 to the heart of Berlin in 1945, each campaign has their own weapons, vehicles, and equipment, including over 100 tanks and aircraft. With famous tanks like the M4 Sherman to obscure guns like the VG2, Enlisted offers a massive arsenal of equipment to unlock. And I mean, look at the graphics. I love them. The game looks amazing. So play Enlisted today for free on PC, PlayStation, or Xbox by using my link in the description to get a free bonus pack with multiple weapons, soldiers, and a premium account.
Looks like a good game.
Now, back to that plan.
I crash coursed
I
it one
took
time.
all of Vagabond's gear just so that he didn't lose it and took control of him, thrusting him back into the life of crime. He had nothing to lose, so I might as well try to break into a nearby business and steal some stuff. Picking the lock of the business,
like their wormy brain is immediately like, how can I unlimited gold glitch? How can I this? How can I ruin my fun? And I'm sorry, it's just the opposite. And like every one of these fucking anal nerds, they like me for some reason. I've never figured it out. I don't know why. I track their intelligence or something like that. When they talk to me, they don't often have to repeat themselves because I actually listen to you when you speak and I can understand what you're saying and stuff. And I actually listen most of the time. I mean, depending on what the situation is. And like, and often they're used to dumb people who aren't listening to them. and when you're actually like really grokking what they're saying, or you know, perceiving what they're saying, you know. So they like me. They like me because I listen to them, and I when they speak, and I understand what they're saying, and it's not too much of a, you know, it's not too much of a logic jump for me to know, like what they're talking about. So they like me, but they also hate me because I'm like this slovenly fat drunk guy with no limits and no barriers, no social barriers, no, I don't fuck around or beat around the bush, you know. I don't fuck around, you know. I'm an etiquette person, the big one, but I'm more of a like a polite person, you know, more so than like say, I don't know, it's hard to say. So so this personality, they'll immediately come up against me though. They like me for some reason, but they immediately come up against me. And they're like, "You are totally not sorting this box in this rust base, and it's driving me batshit OCD crazy." And I'll be like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'll fix it." Right? This is what you say to him. "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'll fix it." But really, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking about a corkscrew in their little anal retentive bottle, tightening and tightening and tightening and tightening until it pops. Trying to control the world through every little detail, trying to keep everything clean. You can't clean everything. Trying to keep fucking everything ordered. You can't order everything. It's chaos. You know it is. Like, and I am a chaotic neutral person, really, in my fundamental personality. And so so my chaos is like their fucking cancer. But they like me still for some reason. They like me because I'm not afraid of the order. You know, I'm not afraid of having it around me, or it doesn't bother me, but it's just, you know, but like, I am not like them, and this has broken many a heart. I would say I am not like them like that. I don't care about your procedures. I don't care about, like, I know I like basics. I'm good about basics of stuff. Like, what's the good fundamental, you know, of understanding shooting in a game or something, right? Always be moving. Always be thinking exit. Always be thinking about elevation. ABEs. Always be elevated. Always be moving. Stuff like that, right? So, like, you know, I do like basics and stuff, but at that point, I wanna shut off my fucking brain. Even doing brain surgery is like this for me. It would be. I would at some point want to shut off my brain and just fucking do it, you know, instinctively. I'm an instinctive person. I let my hands do my instinct in my instinctual stuff. I'm a very instinctual person. You'll see me do certain grinds that make no sense, and other grinds that I skip that do make sense, because it's, to me, what might make sense to you is a complete fucking waste of time to me.
This
Or,
right
and
outside.
vice versa. What might make sense to me, like grinding this old ass Final Fantasy game on single player, fucking BST, doesn't make sense to you probably, but it does to me, because like in the next couple of years this will probably die. So like, to me, this is the last time that I get to come to the bar and drink with my Final Fantasy buddies or whatever. It's fucked up. The bar's gonna close, you know? The bar will close.
You've been
If
examined.
Terra died,
Your skill has increased.
Final Fantasy 11 will absolutely die. I want him, but I don't know. I don't know if I can get him. I'm going to tame him.
Your skill has increased.
Can we tame you? Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Run a blink.
Your skill has increased.
God damn it. I better call something. What does he check? I told you to disengage. 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 Oh, God. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Just fight. Just fight. I want to buff is what I want to do. Stand up. Stand up. Baleful gaze. At least it's on the staff and not me. Am I full? No, I'm close to it though. Nice. Gonna make some money. Yeah, fuck it. I'm just gonna take the Rex. I don't care. I think it sits high value. What happened here? Yeah. Oh, you're like. Yep. Well. Oh.
Your skill has increased.
Dad, you're annoying. The stupid ass fucking rabbit has a really long petrify, and it's gonna kill me. Oh, I don't know. I'm okay now, I guess. The rabbit has a really long petrify. I don't know. Just kill the Steffi, though. Yeah, just, whatever. I'm not doing anything. Leave me alone. What's going on? I R0'd. Did I DC? No, I got an R0. Oh no. Am I going to die?
Outside the door of the police station, I got inside and tried to steal an awesome set of armor. But I instantly got caught because somehow, me picking up this item alerted the entire goddamn city. And I got thrown back in jail and got the shit beat out of me. But it planted a seed for a great idea that we would pursue tomorrow. So why did the guard with supersonic hearing catch me? Well, it's because I am a level 0 thief. I needed to gain some skills. And how did I do that? By stealing stuff. However, I did need to wait until the shops closed at nighttime to do this. So, while Vagabond was in jail, I trained Quant's combat skills in the police station training room, and then broke Vagabond out again and put him in a local medical bed to heal before our mission when night falls. Funny enough, carrying a wanted man who escaped prison multiple times through a crowd of 1,000 police officers and mercenaries in a bar didn't do much and nobody seemed to care. But oh boy, would they care once our thieving adventure truly began. While he healed, I returned to the police station to continue training Quant's combat skills. This went on throughout most of the day, and I guess one of the police officers in the bar did in fact recognize Vagabond as the hardened criminal
I'm dead,
that he was,
aren't I?
which once again resulted in him being thrown
Maybe
in
he'll
jail
despawn.
for the 4th time. But guess what? I broke him out again, and as midnight hit and day 4 began, it was time for us to enact our master thieving plan. See, Vagabond was becoming a notorious criminal, but my boy Quant, nobody even knows who he is. So I could utilize Vagabond's notoriety to break into local shops and steal things, which will inevitably raise the alarm, causing him to get busted. But right before the cops carry him off, I would pawn the stolen goods off on Quant, who would be waiting nearby. I sent Vagabond in and started picking up anything and everything that wasn't tied down. See, as a low-level thief, taking things from boxes would make a lot of noise, and I would inevitably get caught, but the loose stuff, that was fair game. I took gears, raw materials, building kits, and anything else that happened to be in my path, snuck back outside and gave it all to Quant. This unsuspecting guard walked by and probably assumed that we were participating in completely legal non-criminal activities, and I went back in, grabbed some more stuff, and was good to go. With 2 characters full of stolen contraband, it was time to make the long walk back to the hub to pawn this stuff off, because if I did it in Squin, it would definitely raise the alarm. So, as the sun rose, we arrived in the hub and sold everything to the local barkeep for 3,000 cats. I think we found our most profitable venture yet. I stumbled across an outpost for the Adventurers Guild and was really tempted to try to rob it, but these guys looked like they would do some serious damage, so I resisted my temptation and returned back to Squin for my second batch of stolen items. But now that it was midday, I couldn't quite carry out my plan yet, and I just continued to train both characters in the upper levels of the police station that was currently out looking for me. Yeah, they aren't the brightest. The training continued until my next midnight thieving session, and this one was going to be a massive haul worth tens of thousands of cats. It was our biggest heist yet, and in order to pull it off, I was going to need to recruit some help. Sending Vagabond into the local bar, I recruited a group of Hiver mercenaries for 3,000 cats and a wandering assassin for another 3,000. Now, with my own tiny private army, I didn't have to worry about any resistance. I picked the lock using Quant and sent Vagabond and his squad into a different, much larger shop to steal everything that he could. Luckily the mercs were there because it turns out that his shop was guarded by a handful of soldiers, and with my lack of combat skills, I didn't stand a chance. They were all sleeping upstairs, so we ran up and I led the mercs into a massive battle with these guards. The battle went on for a while, but we ultimately prevailed and I looted the bodies to find one of the best possible items that I could have in this scenario. The shopkeeper had a massive shopkeeper's backpack, which was actually the biggest one in the game. A perfect place to store all of my stolen contraband. And with no guards to stop me, I used both characters to loot the entire shop and steal everything.
I exploited off of some Reddit fucking list of all the exploits, and here's a video that I got, Jesus Christ, 39,000 views off of it because of it. And it's like, yeah, you call that a career? You're basically you're like a living and breathing game shark. You're basically a game shark, and I can't believe you,
value. And let me tell you, there was a ton of stuff in here. The biggest find was an entire container full of electrical components. A great find where each one was worth a whopping 300 cats, and now I had dozens of them. While I continued to loot with Vagabond, I sent Quant back in to pick the lock of an extremely hard safe that was hiding behind the counter, since he had a better lockpicking skill from his constant successful jailbreaks. And what I found in here absolutely blew my mind. 9 robotics components, each worth over 3,000 cats when sold to the right person. We had hit the jackpot, but things wouldn't be going smoothly for long. As we emerged from the shop in the early morning hours, a swarm of guards was there to meet us. They had caught us, and a massive fight between us, our mercs, and the guards commenced, with Vagabond being captured and taken back to jail in the process.
Aww.
But wait a minute, where's Quant? Yes, my friend, our plan worked, and while the chaos was happening, he walked out with the backpack and was on his way to the hub to sell the massive amount of loot that we just swindled. The walk was extremely slow, and if bandits came out of the mountains, it would have all been for nothing, because I was walking at 0.05 miles per hour, since I had hundreds of pounds of loot on me. But I got blessed by the Kenshi gods, and after spending the entire day commuting at a snail's pace, I made it to the hub, bankrupted the barkeep, and then walked back to the Adventurers Guild that I almost ransacked earlier, and almost bankrupted him as well. With over 15,000 cats in my pocket, I traded the shopkeeper's bag for 2 smaller thieves' bags, stocked up on provisions, and made the return to the hub to do something extremely valuable in the morning. I joined the Shinobi Thieves, a guild of, you guessed it, thieves that have outposts all around the world in Kenshi. If I was to become the master thief that I'd always wanted to be, the Shinobi Thieves would be a great place to start. It did cost 10,000 cats to join, which was unfortunate, but let's look at it as an investment. I was tired of Vagabond getting a...
So if you were smart, you would then kill the NPC that had the 10,000 cat, or rob the NPC that for up the 10,000 caps that you just paid him.
Arrested from his past bounties, so I left him in jail to serve his sentence and spent the entire day getting Quant's combat skills up in the Shinobi Thieves Tower in the hub. Then, 1 week into our thieving adventure, I made yet another trek back to the prison to see how things were going for Vagabond. Turns out that all of the mercenaries that broke into the house with us were also in jail, so I took advantage of the situation and looted all of them while they were tied up, taking all of their gear and throwing it into my backpack to sell.
Wow.
Well, I mean, it's not my fault they failed at their jobs. But I couldn't sell the stuff in town because it all counted as stolen goods. So I ran all the way back to the hub again, sold all of my contraband again, and was now back up to $16,000. I know I keep switching between dollars and cats. Cats is the currency, but dollars is easier to say, so they're kind of the same thing. While at the bar, I saw a lot of locals who could be recruited into my squad, and now that I had the funds to support them, might as well turn this small operation into something much larger.
What?
I recruited a Shek warrior guy named Oron, who would definitely just be a bullet sponge, and then I had a great conversation with this person about how they lost their horns in battle, and how they feel like an outcast because of it. It's honestly so sad. I mean, I'm really sorry to hear that. And welcome to the squad, Hornless. I got impatient with the legal system, so I broke Vagabond out of jail again, and as midnight approached, you know exactly what I did next. That's right, I broke into another business, stole some more miscellaneous items, and asserted my dominance. Very on brand
Asserted
for
my
boy
dominance.
Vagabond. But you see, we have overstayed our welcome here. We were wanted by the police, and well, there wasn't much more to steal. It was time for bigger and better adventures. So Vagabond, Quant, Oron, and Hornless continued their adventure to the next region of the map. One with a new landscape, new threats, and new stories to tell. We were going to Shark, the outlaw swamp city. See, the swamp was going to be a new challenge for us because it was a much harsher environment than the desert that we spent the first weekend. This place had creatures that would wipe out an entire squad in mere seconds, and not to mention the swamp ninjas. We don't want to talk about the swamp ninjas. But the floor explorers held strong, and after a long day of traveling, we had made it most of the way there. But I was a bit tense, and I knew that we were still at risk. So following this random guy that we saw and hoping that he could be used as a bullet shield if we came across any creatures, we continued our journey to Shark. And just as we expected, right before the gate, we alerted a group of ninjas that were camping outside the entrance. They saw our friend, and since he was way more powerful than we were, we pushed him right into the fight and ran away behind a rock to wait for them to leave. A perfect distraction. There was one straggler that followed us over there, and we got into a 4v1.
Straggler.
Should be easy, right? No. This guy alone was more powerful than our entire squad, and he did some serious damage. But we ultimately prevailed and ran away before the rest of the group made it over to us. Thank you, random adventurer. You will be missed. As day 8 turned into
Random
day 9,
adventurer.
we made...
You see how he kind of sounds like Bethesda scripts? It's because and Bethesda was like this too, a bunch of kind of like, you know, uptight, anal retentive nerds. Is because and everything has to have a label, so everything's a punk or a straggler or a homeless person, or, you know, everything has to have titles. It's funny. It's right. The right wing loves people like this.
Shark. Shark was a hardened place full of outlaws, vagabonds, and anyone else who fell into the fringes of society. It was the perfect place for a group of aspiring thieves. The first place we checked out was some sort of weird gambling hall, and I got roped into playing some random nonsense game that I kept losing at. This shit perfectly encapsulates how I feel when I see a 16-year-old TikTok kid trying to talk to me in the gym. And we got an arrow in the neck. Fishing with the arrow in the neck or rolling back roamer. Yeah, I played a good few minutes and didn't win any money, so I gave up and decided to check out the rest of the city. We came across this guy who demanded that we bow to him, which I responded by doing a dance, and he called me sexy and told me to come back later. Shark is a weird place, man. Oh, one other thing, I recruited an absolutely cracked crossbowman named Green, who would now be joining us on our adventures and hopefully helping us stay alive in the unforgiving swamp. Came across another girl named Mew, and she started flirting with vagabonds, so somehow she ended up in our squad. Don't know how that happened, but that's life, man. I feel like Shark really encapsulates the beauty of Kenshi with all the weird, unique characters and crazy side quest storylines, and honestly, it's one of my favorite places in the game. What's your favorite? Let me know in the comments and share some of your favorite Kenshi characters and stories so that others can see the crazy stuff that happens in this game. Anyways, with a squad of 6, it was now time to make our mark on Shark. I never told you why we came here, but I'm sure you can guess. It's time to steal some stuff. We recruited a massive group of mercenaries from the local bar and scouted the area to find our next target. Since this was a higher risk area, there was much more of a reward, and within a few minutes, we knew exactly where our heist would take place. There was a local weapon shop with an absolute shit ton of valuable loot, and our plan was set to begin. As the shop opened for the day, we led everyone, including our group of hired mercenaries, inside the door and closed it so that the guards didn't know what was going on. Then, setting up our positions with our new crossbowmen in the back and the mercs surrounding the 2 shopkeepers, a battle commenced and we went on our mission of killing both of the people who were tasked with protecting this valuable loot. It was a massive brawl, unlike anything I've ever seen, and the shopkeepers didn't stand a chance. Their precious loot was ours. Quant picked the lock on the safe as everyone else...
I kind of want to do that in Kenshi. Just, like, recruit every person and just get bigger and bigger and bigger, and take slaves and just get bigger and bigger and bigger and just buy more and more food. And just sack every vendor and then just sell all the stuff to the... Well, not sack every vendor, but sack everybody who isn't a vendor, and then sell it all to the vendors, and then use that to feed the army. I think that'd be fun.
Put up on loot, and oh my god, we were about to be rich.
Wow.
There was easily over 100,000 cats worth of loot in here, and selling all of this stuff would undoubtedly make us the richest we'd ever been. This was our big break. And in the safe was even more valuable loot.
Wow.
I'm talking blueprints, weapons, materials, and anything else you could ever want or need. We hit it big, but you see, there was one large problem.
The cops.
Shark is run by a gang known as the Hounds, who are constantly butting heads with the Swampers who control the city. The Hounds undoubtedly have the most power, but the Swampers are the ones with the illusion of control. And, well, starting a massive brawl fueled by thievery and mercenaries in a town full of degenerates is a recipe for disaster. So, while we were fighting in the confined space of the shop, the hounds got an idea. They used our distraction to start their raid on the Swampers, and, well, the entire goddamn city was in complete chaos. There was a full-scale war going on outside, with half the people wanting to kill us, half of them wanting to kill each other, and all of them wearing very similar clothes. The place had collapsed and devolved into complete anarchy, and it was all our fault. And now, we had a chance to escape. I ungrouped the entire squad so that each of them had the best chance of survival, turned them passive so that they wouldn't engage in a fight, and sent them all sprinting for the swamp to escape. Everyone got away pretty quickly, but Vagabond had a string of bad luck that caused a bit of a problem. His leg was severely injured from the battle inside the shop, almost unusable, so he couldn't get away with everyone else, and there was a good chance that he died the second he got into the swamp. But with a stroke of luck, because I joined the Shinobi Thieves, I found a wandering assassin that I hired to protect him, and the duo embarked on their journey to meet up with the rest of the squad across the map at a recently discovered outpost. Loaded to the brim with valuable loot, each member of the squad fought their own personal battles, and eventually we all regrouped in the outpost on the morning of day 10. And surprisingly, everyone survived. Well, except for that girl we met in the bar. She was a victim of our failed plan. R.I.P. Vagabond's new girlfriend, you will also be missed. But not really, because oh my god, we are about to be rich. I took some of the good gear and gave it to the squad, and we sold everything else that we swindled to the shopkeeper for, you won't believe it, 110,000 cats. Yes, you heard that right. That one singular swamp shop made us some of the wealthiest people in the entire land. We now have the power to make an impact on the world. We may have caused the destruction of an entire city, but we were about to cause much more damage. You have no idea what we're about to get into. And that, my friends, was the Kenshi experience.
Yeah.
Do you want to...
That is the Kenshi experience, yeah. I guess I would like to sack a town in Kenshi. I think that would be fun. Yeah, just keep getting more and more people, like 5-6 people, and then go wandering around looking for smaller groups of people, and then take them. PTR, improved group finder, preview across world expeditions with improved group finder, but I don't like expeditions. So it doesn't apply to me. It's stupid. Oh, cool. Oh, no, that's not it. Oh, is this single player? No, that's a single player game, huh? Thank you, Curious Archive, for the excellent content from a stream. I'd like to sub to your channel.
and what you find in each realm encourages you to explore the others.
Did I watch this already, maybe? No, I think I misclicked. Yeah.
There are two moments in Planet of Lana that made me realize I was playing something special. The first was, literally, a big moment. The camera pulled back and an unfathomably large creature swam under my boat. Its body seemed to keep going, and there was a sense I'd surely be capsized and eaten, but instead it simply passed on, leaving me with an overwhelming feeling that I wasn't the center of this world. The second moment was small. I misjudged a jump and a predator caught me. Okay, time to try again. After respawning, I decided to outrun the enemy, since that's usually something you can do in video games. I didn't even get close. It's rare that a game makes you feel truly unimportant, like you're just a tiny part of a much larger environment. When a title successfully instills this feeling, it can be like witnessing a sort of magic trick. So what I'd like to do today is take you backstage and explore how different games succeed in making you part of their ecosystems. Okay, so how do you get past a predator in Planet of Lana? The answer is you have to move slowly, learning the route of an enemy, be they biological.
Hey everyone, Sour here.
Thank you, Sour Sweet, for the excellent content from my channel. I've liked this up to your channel.
Brings us into the blistering cold weather of winter Chernarus. If I was to survive in these harsh conditions, I'd have to maintain warmth and avoid being seen, both challenges I wouldn't be alone in trying to achieve. I gave myself a goal, and that was to become a winter sniper, keeping my distance from other players when necessary, and picking them off one by one. We begin on the coast between Electra and Cherno, and as always, I hope you all enjoy.
Oh, but then you go inside and you're like, oh god, it doesn't look good. Oh, it's the armor engine. And then you're like, oh man, outside looks so good. But then you get inside the building and you're like, oh right, Daisy, armor engine. Oh. And it's such a beautiful, it's like the most beautiful game ever made, but it's...
I can just run away from them. Let's go to Electro. Mary chicken. That's what I thought.
Oh, the insides of the things and stuff
hell,
look
I'm
so
dying.
crappy. On the outside, it looks really good, but it's, I mean, it's still like, oh god, that looks so bad compared to Rust. I'm sorry, but it does. It looks so bad. Yeah, that's enough for me. I'm sorry. Yeah, we went looking and we didn't find anything. We're not looking, but I mean, you know, like I went looking and yeah, I didn't find what I was looking for. Oh, come on, Pow World. No. Oh yeah, Lone Vault Wanderer, new Lone Vault Wanderer. Let's see what he has to say about this. I think
Outward
I
is a
own
game that is
Outward on
easy to
PlayStation 4.
misunderstand. Because at first glance, its appeals don't sound
What?
very appealing.
Are you for real?
What's fun about Outward is walking across long distances slowly. It's about being wounded, hungry, cold, diseased. It's about being lost with no map markers or player cursors, and having to use the existing in-game landmarks to orient yourself to your destination. It's about being greatly inconvenienced and slowly discovering ways to be less and less inconvenienced. It is a measured experience, it is slow by design, and a lot of people are going to not like that. So while I definitely recommend it, I also recommend looking at this video because I'm going to describe the game and its vibes as clearly as I can, and hopefully you'll be able to tell.
I
if this is
liked
something you're going to
Outward,
like
but
from
my
EvE.
value to Outward was playing it co-op very slowly with someone else. I couldn't get anybody to do it. I was like, yeah, finding someone to play Outward is going to be fucking hard. I'd have to control some girl, you know? Yeah.
Outward begins with you waking up after a shipwreck. You've made it back home, but all of your cargo is at the bottom of the sea. When you go outside, you're met with an angry crowd of people. The crowd demands from you all the money that you owe. In this tribe, punishments are doled out to the entire family's bloodline. Your grandmother harmed the tribe before you were born. As a result, you today need to make...
I feel like they're digging. They like beat some game and they're like, okay, well, let's try and capitalize off of it. They keep saying Kingdom Come Deliverance, and I'm like, nope. I've seen the combat in that game. No thanks. Yeah, this wasn't it. Let's go back. Yeah, like I'm looking for something. Yeah, let's see what this guy says.
I've always felt that by design, survival games have a lot of potential, but it's one of the game categories that's consistent in producing titles that don't always meet expectations. My introduction to survival games was Reign of Kings, which was a lot of fun before the developers disappeared never to be seen again. And I've scattered hundreds of hours across games like The Forest, Ark Survival Evolved and 7 Days to Die, all of which have their merits, but the genre was
my
redefined
God,
when I
you
played
need to
Valheim
play
for the first
Rust.
time. Valheim blends together some of the greatest games to date to form a best-in-class survival experience. The gaming world is like a body of water with a very strong current. As games I've been excited for have released, my attention has been drawn away. But even all these years later, each time I pick Valheim back up, I'm instantly reminded how much I love this game, and with Ashlands now on the horizon, it's a great excuse to dive back in. Valheim is kind of reaching the point now where when someone tells me they haven't played it, that's up there with the other friendship ending crimes like having not watched any of the Lord of the Rings films. Speaking of Lord of the Rings, I recently played Return to Moria with some friends, and it made me realise that Valheim has deservedly become the benchmark for the survival genre. And this is probably as good a
Bullshit.
time as any to mention the jaw-dropping
Rust is the fucking benchmark.
fact that initially this game was developed by a team of 5 people. The majority of survival games plunge you into harsh and intense environments that always have you micromanaging some kind of system whilst playing. Valheim takes some of the staple survival game features and does them a lot differently, and in my opinion, improves upon them. The food and hunger system is a great example. You're never going to die of hunger in Valheim, but food is important as it plays a big part in your physical capability for combat. And this lends itself beautifully to the sandbox feeling. It doesn't rush you at any stage.
I think he's a noob. And I'm sorry. I liked him. I liked his video, but it was like...
This video was brought to you by NVIDIA's
Thank you, Skill Up, for the excellent content from stream. I'd like to sub to your channel.
new range of GPUs, the RTX 4080 Super, the RTX 4070 Super, and the RTX 4070 Ti Super. They were just revealed this month at CES, and the initial internal benchmarks are super impressive, no pun intended. Click below to check them out or stick around to the end of the video to learn more. Gamers, welcome to Season 4 of This Week in Video Games. It's fantastic to be back. I had an awesome break just playing Armored Core mainly, as well as too much Fortnite, ew, cringe. But I mainly just chilled out and went outside and got some sleep and went to the gym. Just lived a normal human life for a little while, which was quite nice. Having said that, I am not great at the whole holidays thing, so I was kind of itching to get back to it. I love doing the show every week. It's genuinely great fun, and so I'm super glad to be back at this. I'm particularly excited because this year's a little different. See, this show is getting bigger in terms of viewership and the number of stories we try to pack in each week.
It's
And I
staying the
realized that
same.
I needed some help to stay on top of that workload. So, over the break, the Shill Up Squad expanded. Say hello, Edmund.
Hello, Edmund.
This is Edmund Tran. He's been working in games media for 15 years, 12 of those at GameSpot, where he was a senior editor and video producer. And most recently, he founded and ran the fastest growing games website in Australia, a site called Games Hub. He left that to join the Skill Up team, where he'll be helping to make this show even better. I'll still be writing the scripts and recording the audio, but Edmund will help us cast a wider net, catching more, better stories, while also ideally speaking directly to developers and publishers so we can do some of our own original reporting. We're also working on some other stuff, but that's for a little further down the track, so we'll come back to that in a few months. For now, I'm extremely thrilled to have Edmund on board, joining myself, Austin, and Stu. We're a crew of 4 people now, and we are very hungry for a big serving of 2024. Speaking of which, here we are. It's 2024, and while I wish the world stood still while we were on break, it certainly did not. It kept on a spinning, game news kept on a breaking, so without further ado, here comes the first news block of 2024. Let's start with some good news, since there isn't a huge amount of that this week. Ding dong, Bobby's gone. Over the break, one Robert Kotick, the long-serving and much maligned CEO of Activision Blizzard, exited the
Wow, Bobby Kotick stepped down. Fuck yes.
company, no doubt taking a few $100 million with him as he did so. This is not a surprise, but it is welcome news, as Microsoft had not been earlier able to confirm their intention to remove Kotick when trying to acquire Activision Blizzard. But with that deal now signed, Phil Spencer was able to make whatever personnel changes he damn pleases. Though it is possible and probably likely that Kotick resigned his position before being given his marching orders. That's a bit of a bummer, as it would have been awesome if Phil Spencer's first act was a very public firing of Kotick, walking him out the door, ringing the shame bell as he did so. Speaking of taking out the trash, NFTs. Also, Twitter announced that they were discontinuing their support for the hexagonal NFT profile pics. It's a surprise move because it's the very first good move that Elon has made since acquiring Twitter. I think the Opera GX social media account summed it up well when they responded to the news, quote, "Devastating news for the annoying as shit community," end quote. That wasn't the only blow that NFTs were dealt though, because just yesterday, GameStop announced that their absolutely stupid NFT marketplace will be shuttered. This is some deep lore that no one will even remember at this point, but GameStop did set this up during the time when the whole industry was trying to cash in on this garbage. 2 years on, the NFT market has completely collapsed, but GameStop are blaming their marketplace closure on continued regulatory uncertainty. Sure guys, that uncertainty didn't stop you from investing in this cockamamie scheme 2 years ago, but sure, now that there's no money in it, it's the regulatory environment that swayed you. Absolutely, we definitely believe you. Besides, the industry has clearly moved on from that craze and into a whole new one. AI. Over the break, there were a ton of really meaningful announcements in the AI space that make it clear that the next few years and beyond are very likely to be driven by AI technology, a technology that does have some benefits, but also poses very large risks to the livelihoods of creatives if that technology isn't used responsibly. And let's be real, companies are very rarely interested in using new technology responsibly. Those fears have led the SAG-AFTRA Guild to negotiate a path forward on how the games industry will use AI technology when it comes to voice acting. The union signed an agreement over the break with an organization called Replica Studios, which will permit, under specific terms, the use of AI voice in games. The terms mainly relate to protecting the livelihoods of voice actors, limiting the way in which recorded voices could be used by AI, and setting up limits on how much AI content could be generated before the voice actor would be owed more money. The guild are pretty chuffed with this agreement, but there's just one problem. They kind of didn't involve the people who would be most affected, the actual voice actors. For example, Elias Tufexis is one of the most prominent video game voices you'll hear, most famous for his role as Adam Jensen in the Deus Ex series, and he voiced his dissatisfaction at the guild's assertion that this agreement was made in consultation with the voice acting community. Quote, "I would humbly consider myself one of the top voice actors working in games.
Oh, I would humbly consider myself one of the top voice actors.
No one asked any of my peers either," end quote.
No one asked
It's highly
me.
unlikely that the guild and Replica will renegotiate the deal at this point, but I'm sure we can expect to see plenty more friction between companies adopting AI technology and creatives looking to make a living, so do watch this space. Alrighty, how about a change of tack? How about some Elden Ring news? There's a crowd pleaser if ever there was one. Recently, a Twitter user by the name of Ziostorm spotted that FromSoft had added a new DLC bucket to the game's Steam listing. The DLC entry is unlabeled, so it could be anything, but we know that From are of course working on the Shadow of the Erd Tree expansion, and there have been rumors that the DLC would drop sometime in February of this year. Is Bandai Namco gearing up to shadow drop Shadow of the Erd Tree sometime in February? As someone who has been keenly tracking the February release schedule, allow me to be the first to say, hell no, Miyazaki. We put up with your poison swamps and your hitbox porn, but we draw the line here. February is full. March and onwards is wide open. That's all yours.
Wait,
What
I
else we
have
got in the
Elden
good
Ring?
news category?
Nice.
How about
I
some
do.
CES announcements? The Consumer Electronics Show was held in Las Vegas a little while ago, and it's always a great look into the future of tech. Whether or not that tech ever actually gets released is another question, but seeing prototypes is always fun, so whatever. The most high-tech thing that Sony had on offer was this, a hybrid car made in collaboration with Honda, and you could drive it with a DualSense controller. Given what happened to the last vehicle you could drive with a PlayStation controller, I think I'm going to pass on this one. Beyond that, Sony spent their time talking about their TV and film adaptations. They showed some footage of the upcoming Gravity Rush movie, which I didn't even know existed, but if you've ever seen any Gravity Rush gameplay, then I'm going to be very interested to see how they pull this off in movie form. They also spoke about the upcoming Legend of Zelda live-action movie, which in a very funny twist of fate, Sony Pictures is financing and making. Sony described it as, quote, an amazing tale of adventure and discovery, end quote. A brief moment of respite in the otherwise unending console war. Beyond that, we got some news about the upcoming Last of Us Season 2.
guess I am
Production
ready
for that
to
one
move
starts
out.
in February and it will air next year. Brace yourselves for more Last of Us Part 2 discourse. One of the more interesting announcements coming out of the show was this thing, the MSI Claw. It's another handheld gaming PC, only it's powered by an Intel chipset instead of the AMD chipsets you'll find in basically every other handheld. Gonna be very interesting to see what sort of performance this thing puts out, but MSI are quietly confident about it. It also sports a bigger battery than the competition, a 53 watt-hour battery compared to a 50 watt-hour battery on the Steam Deck OLED and a 40 watt-hour battery on the ROG Ally. Given that the Claw is sporting higher base specs, a 1080p panel and 120Hz refresh rate, this does look to be competing more with the Ally than the Deck, so the extra battery life could be a big deal if that Intel chipset is able to use that power effectively. We'll find out for ourselves when this thing arrives sometime later this year. Okay, here's an interesting one to stick our teeth into. Microsoft are considering bringing both Sea of Thieves and Hi-Fi Rush to other platforms, namely PlayStation and Switch.
Oh,
This
come
news comes from a
on.
mix of Jeff Grubb, Steven Totillo,
And
Nate
what's the
Haight,
point of having
three
different
sources with
companies
very
at
strong
that
track
point?
records who don't talk out their ass.
Just
They say that Microsoft
just
are
merge
tinkering with getting these games
Nintendo,
out on other platforms, and it
Sony,
might happen soon.
Microsoft,
This
and
caused a
Steam
lot
at
of
this
kerfuffle
point.
in the Xbox
It's
community.
just
Some
costing
people
us
were like,
money
"Yeah,
as
sure, go
gamers
for it."
when
The
you have
more
4
people who
different
get to experience
entities.
these
It's
games, the better.
disgusting, kind
Others,
of.
though, not so much. Sure, there were definitely your console warriors who are weirdly tribal about their plastic boxes and always spoiling for a fight, but there were also more nuanced takes that point to the idea that console platforms are walled gardens for a reason, with exclusives drawing people into those ecosystems, giving them player bases and momentum. It's partly true. I'm not against these platforms having good first-party exclusives to give them strong, sustainable player bases interested to play those exclusive titles. But I don't think every game needs to be an exclusive, and certainly not forever. I mean, let's say Sony released Days Gone on Xbox. Would that be such a big deal? I don't think so. Would I expect Nintendo to release Mario anywhere else? No. But Splatoon? Maybe. And given the competitive nature of that game, it might be good to see it on other platforms. Point is, exclusives are always a case-by-case thing, and I don't think that Sea of Thieves and Hi-Fi Rush are so integral to Xbox's identity that Xbox couldn't suffer them landing on other platforms. No official response from Microsoft on this one yet. I wonder if we'll hear more about it at the upcoming Developer Direct, which is scheduled for just a few days from now, so stay tuned. Alright, I guess we better get back to that bad news now. Remember how in 2023, layoffs are one of the biggest, most recurring themes, and nearly 10,000 game developers lost their jobs in a single year, and we had hoped that with that year over, we could put all that behind us? Not so much, it seems. Over the break, just like last year in fact, bean counters huddled in empty meeting rooms to plan wide-scale redundancies. And given the numbers we're looking at, it's clear that last year was just a warm-up round. It started last year actually, with Boss Studios, makers of Surgeon Simulator. They laid off about a third of their staff, around 19 people. Very soon after that, an entire publisher was shut down. Versus Evil is a publisher that sits underneath the Tiny Build umbrella, and TinyBuild just shut them down, even though they were just about to publish the excellent-looking Broken Roads, an Australian-themed CRPG, aka Dingo Elysium. The bigger cuts would start in the new year, with Unity announcing in early January that they were initiating a company reset, whatever the hell that means. In the immediate, it meant 1,800 people losing their jobs, which is a full
Oh, good.
quarter of
Unity
Unity's
fired
headcount.
everybody.
This, of course, follows Unity's disastrous 2023 when they tried to pull that install tax bullshit. A move so unpopular, it saw a mass exodus of developers, necessitated an embarrassing walkback, and also saw CEO John Riccitiello walk the plank.
Fired.
But wait, there's more. Last week, Twitch cut 500 employees, which is around 35% of their staff.
Yeah.
It comes less than a year after they laid off 400 people as part of a wider Amazon layoff. So in terms of headcount, Twitch is down over 50% versus the same time last year. Some of the employees spoke to Aftermath, and they said that the cuts affected already lean teams and that feature development will likely slow down in the future. Quote, "I have no idea how folks are going to make it work now," end quote. Still plenty to go, sadly. Discord, they cut jobs last week as well. They cut 170 jobs, or 17% of their workforce. Discord said that they grew too quickly and now need to make adjustments, but to their credit, they are offering generous severance, including 5 months of salary and benefits, with an additional week's salary.
5 months of salary.
It's a hell of a lot better than many other companies are offering. Here's one you may not have heard of. Gearbox own a studio called Lost Boys Interactive. That studio is kind of a gun for hire, bringing development talent into projects to get them over the line. This past week, Gearbox, which is owned by none other than Embracer Group, initiated substantial cuts at Lost Boys, and while no official numbers are out, it's estimated that around 125 people were let go.
Wow,
That
Gearbox
wasn't all for
fucking...
Embracer though, as they also made
Gearbox
cuts
is
at
dead,
3D
probably.
Realms, who were working
No
on some
more
really cool
Borderlands.
projects like Core Decay,
No,
Tempest Rising.
there'll be a
It is not
Borderlands,
yet
but
clear
it'll be a
how many people
while.
will let go or how it'll affect those projects. All told, we are only halfway through the first month of January, and already 2,500
So many people got
gaming jobs
fired.
vanished, 25% of the total number of jobs that were lost in 2023. Anyone hoping for a rosier 2024, you can pretty much kiss that dream goodbye. A quick lightning round to serve as a bit of a chaser to all that. We may be getting a DualSense that has more than 15 minutes of battery life. Walmart Canada leaked a new listing for an official Sony DualSense controller that is advertising 12 hours of battery, a substantial improvement over the current one, as I don't need to tell any PS5 owner. That will apparently be the new default DualSense SKU going forward, and it will be the same price as the existing DualSense, which is not bad. That Jet Set Radio reboot may be open world. That's according to a Sega investor meeting report, which briefly describes, quote, Tokyo Street Open World, end quote. A translation error? Someone in accounting playing it a bit fast and loose with descriptors? Who knows? But personally, I'd be extremely down for an open world take on Jet Set Radio, so I hope Sega's bean counters aren't jerking our chains here. Some bad-ish news for Halo fans and Dr. Disrespect. The Halo Battle Royale mode may have been cancelled, despite being all but confirmed and being worked on for over 2 years at developer Certain Affinity. Reliable Xbox insider Special Nick says that the project has been canned.
God.
This is unconfirmed at this point, so if and when Microsoft do make any official announcements, I'll be sure to circle back, because that's kind of big news. Boomers, you did it. You got a shooting genre officially named after you. After colloquially referring to retro-inspired shooters like Dusk, a medieval, and 40k bolt gun as boomer shooters, Valve has listed the category as an official tag on Steam. Now we can all argue about its definition the same way we do roguelikes. We knew the Super Mario movie was big, but I don't think any of us understood just how big. Last year, Universal overtook Disney as the most profitable studio because of the Mario movie, and that is a title that Disney has held since 2016, when the MCU was popping off. Disney seems to be kind of sleeping on the whole video game adaptation gold rush that's starting to happen, so I do wonder if we'll see them start making some moves in this space anytime soon. Speaking of which, Warner Brothers are working on a Minecraft movie, and do you know who they have as the voice of Steve? Go on, take a guess. Guess! You thought I was going to say Chris Pratt, didn't you? To be fair, it would have been a very good guess, but some very short odds on being right, but no, it's the other guy that does all the voices, Jack Black. And after seeing him tear it up as Bowser, and pretty much anything else he's in, I'm perfectly okay with this casting choice. So, what got announced or delayed this week? Well, we got an admittedly confusing update on the upcoming Star Wars Outlaws, the open-world Star Wars game in development at Ubisoft Massive. This one did earlier get delayed out of Ubisoft's current financial year, but an update from a very unlikely source provided further context. a Disney Parks blog said that the game was releasing in late 2024. That blog was later updated to just say 2024. Does this mean we can expect a mid-year release? Possibly, but it could also still be a late 2024 release, and Ubisoft just don't want that publicly confirmed yet. I suspect we'll hear a lot more about this one at the Summer Games Fest in June, so I reckon we can just cool our heels until then. Biggest announcement for the week was Smite 2. It's a surprise because it's a reminder that Smite still exists. I'm only half joking. In fact, Smite is basically the only competing MOBA that's managed to stand the test of time against the likes of League of Legends and Dota. So hats off to Hi-Rez Studios for staying in the game this long. Smite 2 though is a bit of a weird one. It's a standalone sequel that's being built in Unreal Engine 5, so it will no doubt look significantly better than the current offering, which is a little long in the tooth at this point. Purchases from the previous game won't carry over, but Hi-Rez have said that they'll be providing players
it's just a
currency
cash
that
grab.
lets them repurchase 50% of what they already own. Kind of a weird choice to be honest, but okay. A lot of that is justified by the fact that Smite 1 will still exist.
rip-off.
And so if people want to stay in that ecosystem, they're welcome to do that. There's a beta plan for mid next year, and if you're interested to
That
sign
game
up,
is such a
you can do so
joke.
right now over on the Hi-Rez website.
I liked it more
Warlong
than
Fallen Dynasty is
most
getting a
MOBAs,
complete
but-
edition on February 7th for all platforms, bar the Switch. It includes the base game and the 3 DLC expansions. Plenty of hours of Souls-like gameplay for a very reasonable price in that package. Sandland was revealed last year. It's an adaptation of the manga from acclaimed Akira Toriyama. It's like anime Borderlands, and it actually looks pretty great. When it was revealed, it didn't have a release date, but it just got one. It'll arrive on all platforms, bar the Switch, on April 26th.
looks good.
Wondering what's happening with those Metal Gear Solid 3 and Silent Hill 2 remakes? Well, over the break, PlayStation put out a snazzy announcement page profiling the
Solid
biggest
3
games to look forward to
remake.
in 2024. And in it,
Why?
they listed
Just
both
make a
Metal
new
Gear Solid
game.
Delta, Snake Eater, and Silent Hill 2 as titles that were coming this year.
Silent
That's
Hill
not at all
2.
surprising on the Silent Hill 2 front, since Bloober Team have said that that game's been very near completion for a while now. But the Metal Gear date is sooner than I think a lot of us would have thought. This is in addition to those rumors of a Metal Gear Solid 1 remake, so as long as Konami don't completely
I would
screw
play
the
a
pooch
Metal
on these
Gear Solid
projects,
1
then Metal
remake.
Gear Solid fans will
Yeah.
be eating good for the first time in nearly a decade.
Wow.
Speaking of Kojima, sort of, Death Stranding on Mac and iOS devices is a real thing that is happening, so you can finally play Death Stranding as Kojima intended it, on a 6-inch screen while getting spammed with TikTok notifications. This was meant to be launching last year, but over the break got a delay into 2024.
Why do you
No
guys spend
specific
money
date
on
yet.
this stupid
And finally,
shit?
if you've got a lazy $3,500 US laying around, I've got good news for you, because just last week, Apple confirmed that the Vision Pro headset will launch in the US on February 2nd. Other markets will follow after that, but no specific on
You're
that yet.
insane.
This is Apple's first foray into the mixed reality space, following companies like Meta. who have been doing a
Ridiculous. No
pretty
one's gonna
decent
buy
job
that
of it
for
with their recently released
$3,500.
Quest 3 headset. A headset that I own and use quite frequently to browse the internet, play games, and even watch some movies. Tasteful movies, I might add. Get your mind out of the gutter. The Vision Pro isn't really for gaming though. I mean, you'll be able to play Apple Arcade games on there, but really this device is pointed at communications and media consumption. True story, you know the eyes that you can see on this thing? They're not actually eyes, but rather a projection of the person's eyes being shown on the front of the display. Kind of like Homer on jury duty, but, you know, with more advanced technology. So what came out last week, or over the last few weeks since we've been away on holidays? Well, this is one that Edmund got me onto. Last year, a game called Hello Kitty Island Adventure arrived on Apple Arcade, and it took it by storm. Critical praise across the board, culminating in the game winning the Apple Arcade Game of the Year award. Now, the same developer is seeing if lightning can strike twice, because their next release is similar, but it's called Tamagotchi Adventure Kingdom. And it's another one of those cozy games about life in a small, cute town where nothing too serious ever goes wrong. I'm assuming that the Animal Kingdom is where all the Tamagotchis moved to after we stopped feeding them or lost them in between our sofa cushions. This one's out right now on the Apple Arcade, and the initial reviews have been very positive indeed. Sovereign Syndicate is a game I've had my eye on for a while now. It's a fantasy, steampunky, narrative-led CRPG that definitely leans a lot more Disco Elysium than it does Baldur's Gate. The big twist is that you use tarot cards instead of a dice roll. No Steam reviews up for this one yet at the time of writing, but critics did get their hands on it and they like it, putting it at a strong 80 on OpenCritic. PC Gamer enjoyed this one, scoring in an 80 and saying, quote, with its emphasis on roleplay rather than combat and borrowing from Disco Elysium, Sovereign Syndicate feels like another step forward for the CRPG, end quote. A newly formed studio by the name of Something Random was founded by a bunch of developers who had worked on Superhot, the first-person shooter puzzle game that is, to this day, one of the best experiences you can have in VR. So how do you follow up something like that? Make a weird little game about toy trains. This is Toy Trains, and it's pretty much exactly what it says on the tin. You build little toy train worlds in VR, only they're bursting with charm and personality, and the game has an overarching narrative tying all this together, so it isn't just sandbox building. This reminds me a lot of Lego Brick Tales, which I've recently been playing through on the Quest 3, and I love that, so I'll probably love this too. And finally, we are very unlikely to ever get a Portal 3, but good news, modders have got us covered. Last week saw the release of Portal Revolution, a mod for Portal 2 that is probably as close to a sequel as we are ever going to get. It features a new story, new characters, and over 40 new puzzle challenges spanning around 8 hours of gameplay. Best of all is the price tag. It's 100% free, so long as you already own Portal 2, which, let's be real, all of us do. No critic reviews for this one, as it's a mod, but on Steam, it currently sits at 95% overwhelmingly positive, with nearly 7,000 votes counted. One Steam review summed it up well, quote, "With mods this good, who cares if Valve can't count to 3? So what's coming out this week? Well, I don't want to alarm anyone, but there are some video games coming out this week. The next 5 to 6 weeks is actually pretty fucking huge, with some of the biggest titles of the year releasing in this block. And what better way to kick things off than with Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown? Remember when this was revealed and everyone was like, "Oh, that sucks, man," and I was like, "Nah, this looks pretty rad." Well, gaze upon the review scores and despair, haters, because Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is currently sitting at a mighty 87 on OpenCritic, over 100 critic reviews counted. IGN were very impressed, scoring it an 8 and saying, quote, "It's the fast and fun combat system, the tight and satisfying controls, and the stylish look and feel that elevate Sargon's journey and make The Lost Crown a worthy successor to the best of the Prince of Persia legacy," end quote. While GameSpot were even more impressed, scoring it a 9 out of 10 and saying, quote, "This new genre debut is so confident and impeccably crafted that this should simply be the identity of Prince of Persia for the foreseeable future," end quote. A very bold claim that I'm not sure everyone will agree with, but I think their overall point still stands, and that is that this game rules, and I agree. I'm playing through it at the moment and loving it. Ubisoft really have landed on something exceptional here, and it's great to see this sort of publisher making this type of game. One
It's
that
a
is more
2D
limited in
side
scale and
scroller.
scope, with a focus on originality and quality. Just
This
keep
does
doing
not look
this,
original.
please,
It looks
Ubisoft,
like
and be sure to give us
Donkey
Immortals
Kong
Phoenix Rising 2 while you're at
Country.
it. Thank you very much. Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown arrives on all platforms on
Maybe
the
if you
18th.
maybe you guys
Ready
just
for
weren't
some more
born
The
yet.
Last of Us Part 2 discourse? No, I'm not talking about Season 2 of the show, which incidentally just cast their Abby, an actor by the name of Caitlin Dever. All sympathies extended to her for what she is about to endure. No, I'm talking about The Last of Us Part 2 Remaster, which arrives tomorrow, exclusive to the PS5, of course. It does feature improved
PS5?
visuals, but don't expect anywhere near the same uplift that we saw in Part 1 remake.
Why are you
since Part 2
remastering
already looked
the
pretty
second
spectacular,
one? Didn't
and
that
graphics
game
technology
just come
hasn't
out
advanced
like
all
3 or
that
4
fast
years
since then.
ago?
It's got DualSense support, new accessibility features, a commentary
You
track
mean you
from cast
just
and crew.
made
The
it
most
compatible?
interesting part of it is a new roguelike survival mode called No Return. I wouldn't expect this to be God of War Valhalla levels of good though. It seems more like a side dish rather than the main course that Valhalla ended up offering. Either way, this is a $10 upgrade for those that already own the base game, or a $70 price tag if you are buying it for the first time. Palworld, oh man, I can't believe that this is real. True story, these guys emailed me over the break and they're like, "Do you want to play this game early for a preview?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And then they just totally ghosted me. And I was disappointed because I really want to figure out what the fuck is going on in this video game. It's the Pokemon looking one where you can enslave your Pokemon and force them to mass produce guns and then run around shooting those guns at other Pokemon. It looks completely batshit insane, and it's either going to be incredibly good or incredibly awful, but probably both. This one's an early access release exclusive to PC and Xbox for now, including Game Pass, so bad luck Sony ponies, but I expect this one will need some time in the oven, so you could probably thank the Xbots for handling the QA. This arrives on the 19th, definitely going to be checking this one out.
19th,
Speaking of Xbox and PC exclusives, Sam Barlow's excellent Immortality was locked
Palworld hit, Palworld, oh wait.
up on those platforms earlier, but on the 23rd of Jan it will be freed, available on the PS5 for the first time. This is held up by many as some of Sam Barlow's best work, a mighty 88 on OpenCritic, so if you're into his flavor of game, then you're surely going to love this one. And finally, here's one that you should absolutely have on your radar.
Enshrouded.
While we're all very patiently awaiting Valheim getting some more updates, Enshrouded is looking to fill the void, and it's got a very good shot. I played the demo for this a while back, and the fundamentals of its survival mechanics were excellent. It looked great, the combat was surprisingly snappy and satisfying, the voxel terrain manipulation was really powerful, the whole thing just clicked. And when the demo was live during the Steam Next Fest, Enshrouded was by far and away the most played game during that Next Fest, and it's now one of the most wishlisted games on Steam. This feels like it could be the first big indie hit of 2024, and I secretly suspect it will be. It's exclusive to PC for its early access launch, which commences on Jan 24th. We're working on a review for it at the moment, so be sure to check back on the channel next week when that review is live, or just subscribe and ding the notification bell, and we will be sure to personally deliver that review right into your sub feed. You're welcome. There is one other title releasing this week that I haven't covered yet, so put this on your radar.
Hello? I was told to call this number to ask about my problem. Hello, yes, I believe there may be some
Analog
kind of
horror
problem with our
game.
home ventilation. I don't know what's going on inside my house.
Ever dream of an exciting career as a telephone operator who has to put up with people screaming at them while trying to navigate Windows 95? Well, have I got the game for you? This is Home Safety Hotline, the second game from developers Night Signal Entertainment. This one is super weird but super cool looking. You're a home safety hotline operator, and so people call you with all manner of problems, be it termites in their walls, to paranoid delusions about people breaking into their homes, to shit that gets way crazier and way scarier than that. It's all pre-recorded voice, and the voice talent seems to be doing a great job. The fact that you have to Google solutions to all of their problems before Google even existed is a nice touch. If you're into Sam Barlow games like Telling Lies or that propaganda simulator not for broadcast, then there's a good chance that this game has got your number, no pun intended. It arrives exclusive to Steam today. If you want to check it out, I've profiled it over on my Steam curator page, which also has links to all of the other Put This On Your Radar stuff I've recently covered. I'll leave a link to all of that below the like button. Sort of free stuff time now, and boy do we have a lot to get through this week. New year, same starting point. Epic kicks us off. Over the break, they gave away a ton of awesome shit, including Guardians of the Galaxy. I hope you managed to grab that one.
I did.
So after blowing their load like that, you kind of have to expect a bit of a slow period. Still, they're not compromising on quality though, since the lovely Set Forth is now available. This is a single-player adventure game about life on the seven seas, crewing up your vessels, fishing to survive, and fighting off pirates if they happen to swing by. If you're one of the 3 people eagerly anticipating Skull and Bones, then this could be a nice warm-up for you. Getting quick though, because later this week it'll be replaced with a game called Love, and you might be asking, what is love? To which I say, baby don't hurt me. Are you guys as glad to be back as I am? Love is a many splendid thing, and it's also a very classic, very basic 2D looking platformer released back in 2014. If you can't wait until the end of the week to pick this one up, you can grab it on Steam for like $3. Prime Gaming hasn't got a whole lot going on this week, but the lovely and thematic Endling Extinction is Forever is on there if you're looking for something a little more down-tempo. The PS Plus lineup for the month ain't messing around. The headline offering has got to be a Plague Tale Requiem, following up on the absolutely brilliant Innocence from a while back. This is sort of like The Last of Us, except instead of zombies, it's rats. The production values here are incredible, the story is great, and the voice work by the actor playing Amicia is so strong that it earned her a Game Awards nomination. This is a genuinely fantastic video game, and if you haven't yet experienced it, then do grab it. But be sure to play the first game first, since it does add a lot to
No, it doesn't matter.
Evil West was a personal indulgence of mine. I really loved this one when it hit, but that was by no means a unanimously held view. The combat is very God of War, and the storyline is very... there's not much there, but it's great. It's schlocky, cowboy fun, and I do recommend it. Finally, Nobody Saves the World tops off a stellar month. I've spoken about this a bunch in the past, so I won't do so now, but it's from the same people who made Guacamelee, and they crushed it just as much here as they did over there. A genuine must-play, please don't skip it. Microsoft aren't going to let Sony steal all the headlines this month though, because this month's Game Pass lineup certainly ain't no slouch. Assassin's Creed Valhalla will keep you occupied for 3,000 to 4,000 hours, not including the DLCs.
Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
We Happy Few was a little disappointing when it launched, so if you skipped it, then this would be an easy way to check it out at a bargain price. Headline offering is Resident Evil 2 Remake, a game so good that it needs absolutely no introduction here. And don't forget about Pal World. We're all going to find out at the same time whether or not that game is actually real, and I for one cannot wait. Our feel-good story for the week probably should have waited until next week when Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth releases, but to be honest, this story, courtesy of automatonmedia.com, is just too good, so I'm rolling it out now. The Like a Dragon saga is a sprawling one, full of many characters that met their untimely ends. Never at Kiryu's hands, of course, since Kiryu doesn't kill people. Right, RGG fans? If you have ever keenly felt the death of a Like a Dragon hero or anti-hero, then you may want to make pilgrimage to Japan, where this month Sega is hosting an actual IRL memorial for those dead RGG side characters. This event is called Like a Dragon, the Fallen Men exhibit, and it'll be held in Parco department stores at various cities across Japan. When you arrive, you're given flowers that you can lay before the portrait of a deceased character of your choosing. The portraits each have the character's dying moments and final lines of dialogue. Man, this is fucking bleak, but it gets worse. The final part of the exhibition is a graveyard area where holograms of the deceased characters will appear if you point your smartphone at memorials. It's also run in partnership with an incense company that has like 300 years of history, and there's 10 unique types of incense to buy and burn, each of them based on one fallen Like a Dragon character. Will we see video game character memorials pop up here in the West? I don't know, man, but I certainly hope not. If there was ever a memorial held for fallen Last of Us characters, I think we're going to need some pretty heavy-duty security at an event like that, wherever it may be held, which I'm guessing would be like a golf club, at the very least, putt-putt course. See, I told you we were in for more Last of Us Part 2 discourse. You're welcome. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, first show of the year down. Did you have a good time? Are you glad to be back? If so, do your boy a solid and hit the like button on the video, subscribe if you haven't, and ding that notification bell so we can come back and do it all again next week. We're nearing that 1 million sub mark. It's been a few years coming, but we're a stone's throw from it now, so thank you very much for the support and for sticking with me all this time. That Suicide Squad preview is up on the channel if you missed it, so be sure to check that out. This week we're working on Prince of Persia and Enshrouded, clearing the decks for what's set to be an absolutely gigantic February. We hope you'll join us for it. A big thanks to Edmund for joining the team and helping to put this show together. Great to have him on board. A big thanks as always to Stu for editing it. A big thanks to you for watching it. And finally, thanks to Nvidia for sponsoring it. And on that note, recently, Las Vegas played host to the Consumer Electronics Show 2024. It's always a big deal with the major players making major announcements, including this video's sponsor, Nvidia. They had a huge show actually. They showcased some really exciting RTX-powered initiatives like Half-Life 2 RTX, an RTX remix project that utilizes Nvidia's incredible modding platform to basically remaster games. They also announced that Horizon Forbidden West will support DLSS 3 when it launches later this year. That frame generation technology will ensure
Oh, cool. Horizon's coming to
the
PC.
smoothest possible performance for a game that is really pushing the absolute limits of graphical fidelity and scale. One announcement I was particularly excited about was Diablo 4 is getting ray tracing. I am a Diablo 4 enjoyer, and it's nice to know that will look even better now thanks to RTX powered ray tracing. But by far and away the biggest announcement Nvidia had for us were their new GPUs. The new RTX 4070 Super is targeting 1440p gaming, and it delivers faster performance in the most demanding games than last generation's RTX 3090 while drawing just a fraction of the power. If you then enable DLSS 3 frame generation, the RTX 4070 Super is actually 1.5 times faster than the RTX 3090. If you have a smaller power supply and you've been looking for the right power to performance GPU upgrade, then the 4070 Super is probably it. If it's 4K gaming you're after, then the all-new RTX 4070 Ti is going to be a fantastic entry point. This thing will handle both high refresh rate 1440p, but also 4K in games like Cyberpunk and Alan Wake 2. Thanks to DLSS 3 frame generation, this thing is up to 2.5 times faster than last generation's RTX 3070 Ti. The headline offering of the showcase was the newly revealed RTX 4080 Super. This thing is a very big deal because at $999, it's able to comfortably manage 4K ray trace enabled gameplay. It's 1.4 times faster than last gen's RTX 3080 Ti without DLSS 3 frame generation turned on, but if you do turn it on, then this thing is producing twice the frames that the 3080 Ti did. After the 4090, this is the second most powerful consumer card on the market, and at that $999 price point, it delivers absolutely cutting-edge performance and you can play your games at the resolutions and settings you want to. If you want to learn more about these GPUs or any of the other announcements that Nvidia made at CES, then I've left a link to their news roundup below. Check it out if you want to see the latest and greatest technology featuring things like full ray tracing, DLSS 3, RTX Remix, G-Sync, and so much more. Thanks Nvidia for sponsoring the video, and thank you for watching it.
Yeah, this was good.
This video is brought to you by channel partner up when it comes time to begin crafting, moving resources from one place to the other, picking things up with your hands versus putting them in your backpack, inspecting things versus scanning things versus opening things versus repairing things versus replacing things. Through a combination of really inconsistent control mapping, over-complex UI, and unclear instructions, Ironwood have created one of the most disorienting user experiences I've encountered in a survival game, and actually played quite a few survival games at this point. It's a genre I've come to love over the last few years, so I have comparison points, and yeah, Pacific Drive is extremely unwelcoming despite the game's best efforts to ease you into all of this. It does get better though, for sure. I actually played through the build twice due to some recording errors, and the second time around it clicked. Things will make it...
Let's see what Enshrouded, yeah, Enshrouded news. Let's see.
Yo, right, bags, it's Jay. Today I'm covering more Enshrouded.
Thank you,
games coming out on the
JPG.
24th
I'd like to
of
sub
January,
to your
and
channel.
I'm going to give you basically a rundown of all the FAQs they've listed in their Discord, so you know all the answers, or as much as we know right now. On top of that, we have got this brand new dev blog highlighting how they make their own custom worlds. There is no procedurally generatedness in Enshrouded. It's all made by hand, and obviously this is going to show how it's done. It's been a busy time of the year, and I think sometimes other games coming out maybe at the early start of next year, like Enshrouded, may be going under the radar. Even though this is massively hyped, it's now one of the biggest wishlisted games on Steam. I know so many of you still want answers about stuff. So let's go everything we know about Enshrouded. So the release date is the 24th of January into early access. They do have plans for other platforms, PlayStation 5, Series X and S, but that won't be until the game hits full release, which they are planning at some point later in 2024. No price point listed as yet, but they are saying it will be cheaper than when it comes to full release. They've got no current plans to add mod support, as the game is made with their own custom engine. They'd have to create their own tools. They haven't said never say.
Okay, guys, I have reached my limit here. I am tired and I'm going to go to bed. I can tell that I'm faded and I'm not probably playing too well, and I'm just gonna stop now. So yeah, I'm just gonna dock up here and go to bed. And so just a reminder, you have been watching Skycat.live, and thank you so much. I did a 5-hour session on Twitch today singing, and then another 7.5-hour session recording a video and doing a stream, and it was a really good day. Got a lot done. That didn't destroy my voice, and it's good. It was a really good session. Doing pretty good, singing pretty well. And yeah, and just a reminder, you come to skycat.live, click on the cat space to donate, and or come to Twitch and sub to me. And thank you so much for your time, guys. I love you. You have a wonderful day, and I'll see you later today after I wake up. Y'all have a good night, or day, excuse me. Y'all have a good day, night, whatever the case may be. I have to go to the bathroom. Oh, I don't know. I mean, wait. I don't have to dock. I guess I don't have to dock. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to stop the video. I love you guys. Have a good night.